Hi, this is Shay Veronica. Last night on Linda Moulton Howe, she talked about cattle mutilation again, and she had on a guest farmer, a lady who has a farm, and she spoke of cattle, dead on her property. And again, I said this is a consensus reality. If cattle are not being mutilated on almost every farm that there is, people are not going to take notice. If you look in the sky and say that there's a big ball of fire in the sky, like the sun, and other people do not feel it or do not see it, cannot detect it, it's like they're not. Why even bother? Why even bother to write about or to go and preach about something that only you can see? It's not going to happen. More people need to be aware that these things are happening. And when I say more people, I'm talking about a percentage, meaning 90%. 90% of the population has got to see what you and everyone else in that particular genre are seeing. Okay, it's a consensus. We have to agree that that thing that is there is there. You see it, your neighbor sees it, the person across the street see it, everyone sees it. Okay, it's there. So Linda talked again about aliens being on the earth. And until you are watching television and the news person say, okay, I'm going to show you my real self, and they pull their face off and you see some sort of creature, until you hear that there's a conference in the White House, and when Biden walks out, instead of seeing a man walking on 2 feet, you see a tail dragging on the ground, and you're seeing him as he really is, until the people who are hiding behind the scenes come out and say, this earth is not yours. The earth, it does not belong to humans, until they pull their masks off and show you who they are. People are not going to take you seriously. They're going to have to go back feeding their children. They're going to have to go back to work. They're going to have to do whatever they do to maintain themselves after you say your little snippet, because unless it's happening in the whole world, it's not going to take hold. Okay, but Linda's channel is growing. She has over 200,000 people listening to her. And to think that a God that created something as rudimentary as the creatures here on earth, creatures great and small here on earth, for you to say that that God stopped his creation after you, is something wrong with that. That's not even aliens and UFOs or anything like that. There's actually something wrong with that way of thinking, because if he did you and he did this earth, you would assume that he, she, it, whatever it is, would have gotten better with that power of creation it has, or they have, and they would have done much better. And then to think that there's something better than what is here on earth, and they tap back to come and see what is here, is like you going to the bathroom and flushing the toilet, and then you go and bend down and try to get into the sewer system to see how your stuff is and how it's going into the drain. No one does that. So Linda, she's doing a very good job, and I think that I should kind of talk about her after she has had her show. Last night's show, like I said, was about mutilated cattle. She did it the week before, and there's also talk about black helicopters and things in the air from the military. When these things are happening, the authorities are on the scene. They're not absent, they're on the scene, and they cordon off that area if need be, and they do whatever they need to do and take away whatever they need to take away. But this is just me speaking from my vantage point, if something happens in the world and a helicopter is there to clean up that scene, they're in contact with whatever created the scene, who the if there are aliens and if they are allowed to come to the earth to pick up a couple thousand people a month, let's say that that's happening, and sometimes there may be a mishap or an accident, and then when that accident or mishap happens, there's a helicopter, a black helicopter that's there, and people are, coming out of those helicopters, parachuting out of those helicopters and cleaning up the scene. That means that the government or people here on earth are working with extraterrestrial, and that's where we get our technology. That's why we moved from 80 years ago doing what we did 80 years ago. Well, I wasn't here 80 years ago, but what you did 80 years ago. And we're doing so much better now. It is they're dealing in technologies. They're trading off. Okay, you give me this and I'll give you that. What would Earth have to offer? Alien species? Well, the only thing I think that they can offer is a human, or maybe cattle, one of the life forms. Why? Because they probably eat us the same way you eat a chicken, the same way we eat cows and goats. They eat humans. That's what else? What else would they want from something that's so rudimentary than to eat our flesh? But anyhow, it comes down to the one thing. It comes down to everyone's eyes have to be open and see the same thing as it presents, because one person here and one person there, that's not going to cut it. And even if everyone in the world were to see this great happening and to understand, hey, we are not alone in the universe, and they wanted to reverse it, let's say they did it, but then they wanted to reverse it for whatever reason, they can do it. We inhale gases all day long, and they can always give an uptake on the gases or give it a downtake on the gases. They can manipulate the minds of the human if they're advanced. If the aliens that are floating around in the skies are advanced enough, they can do anything they want with the people that live here on the earth. So giving Linda all the kudos in the world, but it's almost like she has the job of who is it that was preaching for 120 years? Noah? It was Noah that preached for that long. It's almost as though she has that job to be saying this every week. Every week she says it. Oh, we are not alone in the universe. The earth does not belong to humans. The earth does not belong to humans. Every week you hear the same thing. But until the whole covering of the earth, the firmament, the whole covering of the earth, the whole sky opens up for the whole world, every eye needs to see it, we're not going to get anywhere with this particular message. But still, I think it's important, and I think her role is important as an ambassador of sorts. I think Linda Moulton Howe is who I'm talking about. Her role is very important, and she must preach on. She must preach on. But until billions of people are seeing and understanding things that she understands now in her one body, she's going to be like Noah. She's like Noah. This is Sherry Veronica.